Welcome to Learn with Sawgrass, the Wednesday morning edition. We're here with you live on YouTube every Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. and every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. To tell you everything you need to know about making the most of your sawgrass system and hopefully inspire you a little bit as well. Today, as you may have noticed, I do have a special guest, Clarissa. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
There's a standing joke. I'm the person who's most comfortable with being on the camera in the building, so I do have to drag people in occasionally. Clarissa is with our support team, so we're going to talk a little bit today about what our support team would say are their tips for how to get the most out of your sawgrass system. So, forgot to say it, I am Rhonda. I am the education manager here at Sawgrass. Just to tell you the other thing that's coming up this week, I am hoping to get last week's podcast up this week, and that is going to be with Judith Sanchez, better known as Luna Lee, on social media, and she just does a great job of talking to me about everything about selling and preparing for holiday sales. So please make sure to check that out. Ink Differently can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music as well. Now, we do have Rhodes behind the cameras today, and he is keeping an eye on the chat. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please put them in the chat. And I will say, today is the day. If you have any questions about your printer, if you have any questions about the software, and you need some additional support, if you're with us live, today is a great day to put those questions in the chat because we do have the expert here. So Clarissa, and I'll give her a little support too. We'll make sure we get you those answers. So with that being said, let's get started. So Clarissa, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you came to Sawgrass, how long you've been here.
Sure. So my name is Clarissa. I was at Sawgrass. This will, I believe, be my year coming up being here. I work with the customer support team, and then we kind of help customers with tickets, having issues with like printers, software issues, design issues, anything that correlates to your productivity. We try to get you guys up and running as much as possible with less time.
Yeah. Now, I did give Clarissa a little bit of homework. I asked her to come up with what she, and I told you to get with the team, what your top 10 tips are with Sawgrass. So go ahead and take it away. I'll interrupt you occasionally.
Yeah, sure. So me and my team, we kind of created about 10 tips for you guys in terms of helping with the printer longevity, making sure your printer performs and stays in optimal condition. Best practices to reaching out to our support team, and then also as well handling some parts of the design tool because we know it's a tool that's available for you guys as well.
Awesome. Well, go ahead and dive right in.
Yeah, sure. So we always usually start with the basics with the printer, especially with customers because we do range from people who print occasionally, who are in print houses, businesses. So we always try to help people try to maximize the usage of their printer as much as possible. So one thing we recommend for customers to do, especially if you're not printing too much, but still want the printer to have ink flowing through the lines, print at least 1 to 2 times a week. To ensure the ink flows through the printer, because lack of printing could also use up more ink during the daily maintenance, which will perform extensive cleans, which of course uses the ink. And we don't want you doing that because you want to at least have the ink remaining still to be able to do your projects, especially with that. So printing at least 1 to 2 times a week. It could be something as small as like a nozzle check on a copy paper instead of sublimation paper to save your products, and keeping your printer on at all times for daily maintenance.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what daily maintenance says.
So daily maintenance, so what it does, it runs ink through the lines. So it kind of processes the ink through the lines to ensure there's no clogs or air in the lines. And any of that ink that's not used will go in the waste collection unit. It shouldn't be a lot. The only time it would do that is if it detects a clog. So like I said, print at least 1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah, and that is very important. The printer will detect if there is a clog. Now, there are times where it does not, and that's where some of that manual stuff comes up. But when you are seeing it running extra ink through, a lot of times that's because it has detected an issue.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another thing as well with maintaining the printer, we want to make sure we're staying up to date with Sawgrass inks, because we do there's some points in times where customers do come across having expired ink. And then we definitely recommend making sure you're staying current, because the expired ink over time could degrade, and that could cause potential issues with the color, the quality of your prints, and it may also affect the internal components of your printer. So we definitely recommend keeping current inks in the printer as well.
Yeah, and if you see anyone online who says, "Oh, I've been printing with expired ink for blah 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 amount of time and it's been fine," don't trust them. That's their ink. That's not your ink. Your home situation or your environment where the printer is could be different. Things like humidity, things like climate, all of those things can impact how quickly those inks go. We know, you know, that expiration date of 2 years, we know that's going to cover everybody. We don't want you really pushing that. And even if someone else gets away with it, doesn't mean you're not going to have a problem.
So the next step is regarding having color issues. The one thing we always say is return to the basics, start there, and always print a nozzle check just to see if there's any missing lines and any of the each block that represents each of the colors. So your black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. If you're seeing missing lines, there may be a potential clog. You can identify with the nozzle check, and then you can kind of complete head flushes as well to kind of get that clog out of there. Now, if you're wanting something to be a little bit more specific, instead of a nozzle check, you can use a primary chart. So it's also the same concept. It's 4 blocks of colors with the black, magenta, cyan, and yellow. If you're seeing any missing colors in each block or banding or lining, that's an indication there's also an issue with the print head in that specific ink line as well. So if you're not seeing any issues with either the nozzle check or the primary chart, it could be an indication it may be a print setting or software setting with the designs you're using. So that's always a good pinpoint to start with the color when you're having issues with that.
And it's also a good idea, especially if you're getting banding, to open the lid of the printer, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you're getting banding, open that lid, check your feed belt, check your encoder strip, make sure there's nothing in there.
Yeah, that's correct. And another thing too, a little bit with the printer, I know sometimes we come across jams or misfeeds with the paper feeding through. We always say, of course, check the internal components. So the paper feed belt, your registration sensor, make sure the paper is put in properly in the tray. I've seen customers sometimes not have the paper hugged promptly with the green tabs that are in the tray, so sometimes that could affect the way the paper feeds through. And then of course it gets a little more complicated when you have a bypass tray. But essentially, if all those components look fine, the next thing I would look at is possibly the print settings, because I've seen issues where customers, let's say, they have 13 by 19 paper, and then they didn't input the correct print setting in the print utility. So I've seen customers too not recognize the size of 13 by 19. It's A3 plus. We've also seen that too.
Yeah. All right, Rhodes, is there any questions or comments coming in?
No questions or comments, just good morning from Lou and good morning from Lori today.
Right. Awesome. Okay, cool. But just a little take a little step back from the printer. This is just more tips of how to get access from our customer support team. So the first thing you probably want to do when you're when you're submitting a ticket is be detailed as possible. So inquiries like just saying you're submitting a ticket saying I can't print, that kind of makes it difficult for us to kind of figure out what you're not being able to print. We kind of want to see if we can get more details of what you were doing that led to that point of not being able to print. So instead of saying I can't print, you can say I noticed my printer was offline. When I sent a print, I didn't see anything come through. So that may indicate there may be an issue with the connection, so we can kind of pinpoint there. We just want you guys probably just to be more specific as possible so we can give you the proper troubleshooting steps instead of giving something else and it's not that issue. So yeah, be detailed as possible with that.
It also slows down the process, right?
Yeah, Absolutely. So, because we want to minimize the back and forth. I know we've been addressing that a little bit more with doing the calls, the remote sessions, setting up those sessions and calls for you guys, so we don't have to kind of do that exchange back and forth, playing tag in the emails. So that's what we want, be detailed as possible.
Yeah. Now, I do hear sometimes people will say that we never responded. What do people need? Where are people going to get the response, and what should they do if they're not seeing it?
If you're not seeing our responses, I would always check just to make sure in your email that we weren't registered as spam. So always check your spam or junk folder as well. And then kind of look out for anything that says Sawgrass or customer care, because sometimes people can overlook our emails and not realize they're actually getting them. And then if we're not still getting a response from you guys, we tend to call out as well. So definitely put your phone number in there as well, so we can reach out in the event you don't see the email.
Yeah.
So we can troubleshoot from there or get some details.
Yeah.
We do have kind of a question on that topic now.
Sure.
Lori asked, can tickets go unnoticed or ignored? Is there any reason a ticket might be looked over?
I don't think a ticket could be overlooked for the most part. I think the only situations I've seen where it may possibly get overlooked in that sense is if they input their wrong information. Because I've seen people put incorrect emails, or let's say they had the intention of putting the correct email and they fat fingered something and then they didn't put, it didn't input correctly in the system. So that may not process through. Usually it's just the lack of information that we have on the ticket for us to be able to reach out. So just for the instance, if like, let's say the email was incorrect, they didn't put a phone number, how are we supposed to respond?
Yeah.
And then we do our best to look through the system to see if there's any history of maybe anything that looks similar to the credentials we may have on that initial ticket. We try to do our research best as possible, searching for that customer just in case.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that happen.
I think it's very important to know that it isn't like you have a ticket with Clarissa and only Clarissa has access.
Yeah.
So even if you're on vacation or you're out for the day or whatever's going on, other people will see that there's an unresponded ticket.
Of course, yeah. So we don't leave any ticket unnoticed, especially if one of us goes out for the time being to be away. We have other team members, so not just me. We have Grayson, Sabrina, and Michael. So there are also other people on the customer support team who do oversee the tickets as well. We may be assigned specifically to each ticket, but we all pay attention to each other's ticket to be proactive, just in case something does happen. So we try not to delay the process to kind of resolve your issues. So we're always on top of it.
Yeah, and you know, I have access to the ticketing system. So if I see someone online say they never got a response, every time I've ever looked, there has been responses. Whether they saw them or not, they were definitely responses, and there's multiple in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of leading back to being as detailed as possible, kind of who's covering the tickets and everything, along with trying to troubleshoot any of the issues you guys may have. Make sure if we're requesting information for a specific issue, we just want to be proactive as possible. I know sometimes it could be a lot of information that we're asking, but it's sometimes needed to be able to properly troubleshoot the issue you're experiencing. Now, along with that, I know there's a lot of people who kind of do a little bit of pushback and stuff like that, but we really emphasize on getting that information. And then once we have that, we can schedule a call or a session to kind of go over all the information, just to kind of cut back on the time, kind of going back and forth, giving troubleshooting steps. So that's why we do recommend giving us all the information up front.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because we don't ask for that information just for the sake of asking for it. It helps us determine something. I think one of the stories that I've told all of you when I was training you to do the job was there was a customer that their prints were missing blue. So there was not enough blue in the print. And so when we asked for the information, when we did the nozzle check, there were actually nozzles missing on black, and their black was expired.
Okay.
So the black was the issue, even though the color they were seeing that the problem was blue. They may not have noticed, and they may not have seen the issues on the nozzle check, but we could. So that's why it becomes so important. We can't just say, oh, it's a blue issue and treat it as cyan. It may be something completely different.
Yeah, like in that moment, it may have been the sign, but like I said, they shared the print head too.
Yep.
So, of course, that's why we always request that information. So we
Yep.
don't misjudge something. We don't provide information too soon. We want to at least know all the facts before we give it to you in full confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So another way, I know we're getting a lot of support tips here. Just want to make sure you guys are fully supported as much as possible. We do have different methods of support submitting a ticket. There's 3 methods. You can go on our sawgrassinc.com website. You can access getting support through our Sawgrass Sam. Using that little chat bubble. It's like the bottom right little pink icon that you may see. That's a method 1 of submitting a ticket. The second method is the support option on the website. It's at the top right next to the shop icon as well. And then what a lot of people don't realize is they can also submit a support ticket through Sawgrass Print Utility in the support function. It's one of the primary functions. It's at the very bottom. It may look overlooked, but that's a very necessary tool you could use as well in the print utility option.
And to me, that's actually the best place to submit a ticket. It's right through there. It's very streamlined.
Yeah, absolutely, because it also collects some information that you may not need to provide, like the serial number. It has your phone number already in there if you input it in the past, your email, and then we'll just it allows you to attach files or anything if we can take a look at that too.
And that's also a spot they can go to look at their tickets to
Yes.
see if they're not getting the emails. That's a place to see if there's response.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have any questions for me so far?
No,
Everything's
I
pretty
think I'm
smooth.
good. Everything going good, Rose?
I've got one that might be helpful. So,
Okay.
what should people know about working with Sawgrass Sam? How should they approach using that tool?
I think in terms of using that tool, be specific as possible. At least if it's something like a general inquiry and anything of that nature, like an account, like account management or color issues or login credentials, just follow the prompts. Sometimes being too specific can alter the answer. So at the same time, know the main focus of what your issue is and then follow the prompts from there.
Yeah. It works a lot like a search,
Yeah.
right? Like if you use one search parameter and it doesn't get you what you want, try a slightly different way to see
Yeah.
if it gives you something different. Yeah.
And then if at some point, if Sawgrass Sam is not the method you want to use, jump to the other 2 options, but we definitely recommend the one on print utility. That's an easier method. But yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well,
You got any other tips for us?
I actually do. I have more. I'm sorry, you guys. So one thing I know, as Sawgrass continues to evolve, there's always going to be new things to learn. There's always going to be new methods, new products, new print flows, new method of doing things per se. Let's say I know we do offer 24/7 access for assistance all across the board. Now I know our support team is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. However, if you're needing assistance outside of that time frame, there's also available articles. We have a YouTube channel. We have a knowledge base. And there's plenty of things that could definitely help assist you with issues you may come across, let's say with troubleshooting your printer, color issues, how to use the design tool, how to complete things like head flushes, head cleans, maintenance steps. We do have those steps available for you in our knowledge base. So don't be scared to look at the knowledge base because those were created for you guys to use just in the event you need them.
Yeah. And I would say also, so anything in the Learn menu is going to help you, but specifically the knowledge base, but also clicking on Academy and going to the YouTube. The quick tip videos that Rhodes does, fantastic. A lot of those go into the knowledge base articles. So if you're the kind of person that would rather learn from a video, you can go straight there to the quick tip videos. And then the how-to videos too. We've had those up there for a while, but the information hasn't changed. So everything's the same there. So the how-to videos and the quick tip videos really help. And you mentioned 2 of the most popular quick tip videos with the color troubleshooting and then also with troubleshooting in general.
Yeah, absolutely. especially with a lot of customers too. Especially we're having a lot of people coming in for the holidays as well. They're wanting to learn how to use the product. They want to learn how to design, how to sublimate, VersaFlex, all those good things. Just to get everything set up, always start first, crawl before you can walk, make sure everything's set up with the printer, the software, and just actually knowing like the basic functions of how to use our software. I always really push for everyone to join Rhodes too with the one-on-one sessions, the onboarding sessions. He does a really great job of doing a detailed session, kind of breaking things down and setting everything up and knowing the what behind the why. And then the workshops, of course, with Rhonda as well, because there's certain topics that she's going to start speaking on, as you know, as we're approaching this holiday season, or anything outside of the holidays, or any hot topics that may be available. She also she does every Wednesday.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay, gotcha. More the better. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
Lori said one, she said the knowledge base can answer a lot of your questions. You don't even necessarily need to submit a ticket. Then she says, be kind to your specialist. No one wants to get you up and running more than they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, especially, I know some customers come in with a little bit with the emotions because I know there's deadlines, there's things they need to get done. And we understand that. We know it's not us you're mad at, it's just the situation. So we try to help you as much as possible. We understand where you're coming from. So we want to get you up and running as soon as possible. So
yeah, and I think that's important to say, and you've said it, but just to reiterate, you will call customers if you do that phone number. So that phone number is very important so that you can call out because sometimes a quick call does resolve things, right?
Yes. And then anything that requires a little bit more information, of course, we may ask for requested information. Then we'll kind of go over everything just to kind of make sure we're pinpointing the correct steps to fix the issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I think everything is addressed, I think, for the most part. If there's any other questions that you may come across, or if you come across any issues, just submit a ticket, and you may see an email from care@sawgrassinc.com. So if you ever any questions, just reach out to us, and we're always available for you guys. So.
Yeah, and we have a great team. Depend on them. They're good. And then you have resources too, right? Like you have access to the developers. You have access to me. You have access to everyone within the same room. So, if you don't know the answer, you can easily get it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to leave things delayed for you guys. We're a pretty close-knit team collectively with Sawgrass. I'm beside the product developers. I'm beside marketing. I'm beside education specialists. I'm near sales. So any inquiries you may have, I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a very open door policy, and I think people don't understand how easily it is. Even, I mean, you've had a conversation this morning with our director of R&D, our lead chemist here. I mean, he's in and out too, so you have access to all of the information to quickly get people back up running.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just outside of product development, R&D, there's also shipping, manufacturing, all those type of questions. We're more than happy to help.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, Rhodes, anything else?
Last thing, Lou says thank you for the information.
Thank you for the opportunity to be on this workshop with you guys. It was truly an honor. So,
well, thank you so much. Thank you for kind of being the face of the team today. I did kind of throw it out there, and you were the only one who bit.
You're all good. Happy to help.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Again, we do have an Ink Differently, hopefully dropping this week. And we will see you back next week for some new workshops. And they actually are all going to be around just this. We're going to be talking about the printers next week. We're going to be talking about troubleshooting as well. So make sure to join us. We have some quick tips dropping today and tomorrow. So we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Take care.